Bonjour à tous, this is Mac Plays on Mac, and welcome back to the channel. Today, this is the beginning of a new series. We are starting with a new map and a new set of rules. This map is based on Avalanche Shore, which is in a European kind of weather. So we are gonna try right now a lot of things. As you can see, I'm just looking around the map. Where can we start to build? So I'm just trying to smooth a bit around the edges. A lot of terrain difficulties in this map, a lot of challenge. And we are gonna start with right there. We're gonna build a small grid, use this perfect beginning over there to just set up the bones for the new city. So I'm assuming a lot of questions right now. Why are we abandoning all of the previous city? Well, the truth is, I'm not sure what was wrong with the previous cities. It was just not growing. My population was not growing. I tried many different things, including adding a lot of jobs, offices, and commercial and industrial, everything, and yet it was still not growing. I run the simulation for about 3 months of time, and still at the end of this about 2 hours or 3 hours of actually much more than this, 6 hours of simulation, the population just stagnated. But anyway, so this is why we're doing all of this. Also, the game, since I started that series, Mount Mac, changed a lot. We had quite a few updates, and we also had some region packs that pop up. Now all of the region pack are out, but when I'm actually building this city right now, we were waiting on the northeast region pack, but we actually just got the southeast. This was my first time building with the southeast region pack, and I'm discovering some of the assets. That's actually why you can see that most of the different zoned area are based on the southwest region pack, and I'm really liking what I see. The content is really interesting. I think it's gonna put for some amazing builds, but that's for later down the road. So now let's see what we're gonna build. Actually, I just want to start with I have unlocked everything right now, because my goal is to see if is the game broken. Is it me? Was it just my previous city? I just want to see what are the limits of playing on a Mac. So my idea is to grow without limit as much as I can. Let's use as much as possible of the map. Let's just push this computer to its limit. I'm going to try to keep the simulation running as smoothly as possible, yet I want to see good graphics. I don't want to limit my graphics yet, so I'm gonna try to balance all of them and keep the graphic as good as they are right now for as long as possible. And technically, with all of the different tests that I made in the past, I think that up until 60-70,000 people, we should not need to diminish the graphic whatsoever. So what are we trying to achieve here? So I want to see my population growing by itself if possible. I like plopping, but I also like growing a lot, and therefore I don't want to be limited by only having to plop, which is one of the issues that I had in my previous map. And that's why here you're gonna see me growing a lot, and some of the area I think will require plopping, and that's what we're gonna do. But in the meantime here, I'm not sure about all of the things that I'm growing yet, because this is just the beginning of the city. I'm just trying to see where we're gonna go. I'm not doing too much details because I'm trying to see first, is this working? Like, are we actually able to grow to the population, to a sustainable amount of people without me having to plop? Like, this is just, I want to see the limits of the games. I do want to see how it's going. And I'm in the meantime enjoying all of these new buildings, these new assets are just incredible. The southwest are very good. So this city, especially on this first episode and maybe the coming episode, is not gonna be very realistic. The way it's developed, the way everything is happening, it's not what a usual city life would look like. You're gonna see me building a big train station. Like, I'm trying to see where are gonna be the bones for the city for the future. So I'm still planning out everything right now. I'm just building big infrastructure where I know they're gonna set in the future, but a lot of things like shouldn't be like this in a city of that size. Like this big building, all kind of looking from southwest doesn't belong there, you know, like right now you wouldn't be on the other side of the highway. This is like a very costly bridge to build, especially for a small community, you know, like a lot of things don't make sense, and they are not gonna make sense for a while. It's just right now I want to see how the city is gonna develop in the future, and I'm just planning for it right now. That's what I like about this. Like, I was tired of trying to always make all of the economics works. You know, I want to be able to have my citizen very happy. I want to make sure that I can build as much as possible. And for example, things like this don't really make sense all the time. And yet, I just want to build them right now. So we'll see how this series go. We'll see how long it's gonna go for. But let's explain what's happening. Let's go with it. So here, right there, I'm trying to see where I can build my train station, because I see a lot of rail connection over there, and I think a train station right there will actually make sense. And I want it to be kind of a focus of this area. I went for something a bit massive. I was tired of building always a small, different kind of train station that I was building in my previous city. And on top of it, like when you have a small train station, making it bigger is just very, very hard. You're gonna have to demolish a lot of different blocks, you know. So right now I just want to go straight with what it's gonna be later. And I never played this one, I don't think I did, so I'm kind of happy right now to see new different assets and how they look. I kind of messed up. I should have demolished the railroad track before plopping it, but it still work. I mean, unfortunately I cannot move it anymore, so we're gonna keep it like this. I also think like this big parking structure, very useless, not needed, but I do like it a lot. I like how it's gonna look, and it's gonna be needed in the future. Now I want a big one-way to different road avenue over here, and it's gonna go all the way to that road and that bridge that's gonna go across with that neighborhood we built earlier. Now we're gonna make sure it's a 4 lane though, because I have 2 lane on each way, and it's gonna be a major crossing. Here we're gonna go for some single road development, and I'm gonna go with the US North American one first. Now we're gonna zone the avenue also with some single row housing, and after that, I mean, you can see my demand right now is very, very high for the industry, so I think I'm gonna add some as well. But let's zone all of this with some housing, and we're gonna go with just some regular housing, the southwest one. And here, actually, you know what, I think I'm gonna change it with some single row housing all the way to the train station, and we're gonna make sure that the corners and the actual train station side are with some mixed density. I think it's much better, and it makes more sense as it's very close to the train station, which is a big hub. Now, by train, I need to make sure that I get a train depot, so we're gonna build this one way out of town. I need some big space, and I wanted to keep all of the space over there just for the different developments I can make. And we have room, we have all of the map right now to play with, so let's just use all of it. And so this is very funny. So I built it, but I didn't connect it to anything, and yet a bunch of train were going through it. So I was like, great, so I actually don't need to technically connected to the road with all of the different services, because the thing is, because this is a highway, it doesn't have any water, no electricity connected to it. So I was like, okay, great, it's still working, trains are good, are going, I don't need to do much more. But that's actually something that I'm gonna have to fix in the future. I'm gonna figure out like this is actually not working. So let's keep seeing, let's go back to here and check what actually grew, what happened. So there's too many of the same building here. I think we're gonna get rid of a couple of them. I love this kind of development here that's popping. The only problem with this one is it's not really a corner piece. We'll work with that later. Now, I wanted to use that middle space for a tram. This is perfect. Now, the problem is I only used a one tile space in between, and it's not working. It's not letting me put my tram. It doesn't, the road doesn't like it. Even with Anarchy, even if I delete the road in the middle, the space is just too thin, unfortunately, to let this happen. I'm not giving up on that yet. I'm just gonna deal with that later down the road. Right now, I have much more things to deal with. And now the idea is to expand on the other side of the highway and the 10 track to go to have a beach access. We're gonna create a little beach town. So I'm creating this bridge right here. I'm gonna put it as low as possible. And I wanna make sure that it kind of makes sense. You see, like this is a long bridge, but we're gonna use also retaining wall in the middle because it doesn't need to be a bridge the whole way. I feel like that's kind of realistic in some way. And we are gonna have a parking road all over here. This is kind of like a bit like a resort side of town, you know, with a bunch of different parking, some housing, some mostly it's gonna be like high, not high maybe, but moderate to high density development. And I want to have the beach access also, and the whole right side, not sorry, the whole ocean side to be kind of beach. I don't want any development or major development on the north side of the street. We're gonna keep all of the development for the in between the tracks and the parking roads of the street. But anyway, so that's kind of the layout of the road here. I'm gonna add much more road and another bridge right now, and because this is like such a major road, like I feel like it actually need an access. And also this is where the highway and the train track are there finished, so I'm assuming this will actually have been the first connection. We're also going to put a roundabout because this is the most major lane. I want to make sure that traffic flows smoothly here, and we're gonna add a potential connection to the future to develop over there this road. But this is how it looks like right now. Alright, so I have more demand for pretty much all of my residential, so let's keep adding more housing. We're gonna go of course with mostly the housing, and I'm adding also always some southwest, but right here I feel like I'm gonna plop a couple of the Eastern European. Now what I know is I want a hotel here. I want a very nice hotel. I'm not really 100% sold on this one. I don't think it's gonna fit the vibe exactly, but right now that's the best that I have that I can think of. I don't know all of the assets yet, and maybe I will change it later, or when I will detail it I will do something much better. But right now let's just add a parking lot and let's keep going here. A couple stories, brick housing over there, I think it suit well, and something maybe a bit more modern right there, like we're gonna do a block of modern kind of development. And we are gonna make sure that they actually do fit well in the area. We are plopping all of this because the problem is as soon as you leave the world of straight roads and you go into the curve mode, it's very hard to grow something and to make it look good. So that's why like here you're gonna see me mostly plopping everything, and especially this next part over there, like right there, let's make sure to add some park, let's make sure to add some attract to the area. I'm also gonna actually put a lot of sand, but I don't have the mod right now installed at this time, but that's gonna be something that's gonna happen very soon. And again, you see me right now discovering actually the assets. Like I'm just putting what I think looks nice, but I'm changing my mind because that's not what I know. Again, all of these are very new assets to me. That was the first time I was seeing them, so I'm just looking around, and yeah, I like this asset a lot. It's very cool. It's a bit too art deco to me sometimes, like the color is too similar, but that's something I'm gonna change. I do like it a lot. I wish it will follow the curve a tiny bit better. As you can see, I'm just playing around with it to make it fit, and I'm gonna change the colors, but I wish I had more kind of this asset because it would be cool to be able to grow some things that are a bit too similar right now from each others. Okay, so now I built a road in the back because I feel like there's a lot of dead space since there are only 2 units deep, and I'm gonna connect that road to the center so people have a quick access. And I'm thinking we're gonna add some higher density with more stories in the back, just so they can actually reach and have a nice view, and also they will actually make sure that the noise from the train and all these kind of things won't go too far. Here I wanted to use all of this cul-de-sac, very well to actually to their purpose, to what they were built. The problem is if you just grow on them, you cannot build too many houses, and that's why you need to plop the cul-de-sac. Unfortunately, the zoning is not the best. I don't really like what I did with that house over there. It was too close from the main road, especially a major highway like this. That's something we will fix in the future, but I didn't really pay too much attention at the time. And the same here, what you see me is I'm plopping because there's not enough room to grow, you know, like the tiles they give me is not really what I wanted, and that's in mostly the cases that you're gonna see me plopping. It's just when I cannot actually grow something or it doesn't look the way I want it, that's where I'm gonna take control of what actually grows there. And that's pretty much what I'm gonna leave it at for now. Like I might change my mind throughout the different episode and depending on what's gonna happen, but this is what I'm thinking right now. Alright, let's try again. Nope, still not working. I do like how it's developing though. So now finally we're restarting the game again, and I have uploaded I want to change the modes that I have, and I can finally put the sand onto that beach area just like this. Also, I put recolor now finally into the build, so I'm able to change all of the different assets. I didn't really like the brick side of it. It was too orangey for me, and here I think I want some colors that popped, you know, different kind of colors everywhere. When I used to live in Ireland, I saw something like this on the road, and in England as well, and I really like it. I think it's very cool, very unique. It's all the same houses, just different colors, and that's what I want to reproduce here, just for this tiny block though. Now finally I was spending quite some times, and I decided that, okay, I think I'm gonna keep that build. I kind of like what I'm doing here. The game is kind of working, my population is growing, I still have a lot of demand, so let's try to put a bit of detail in it. And that's why you'll kind of see me like taking a bit more care about what I'm actually building, where I'm building it. I'm trying to like make that symmetry like look much more attractive, and also like this terrain was not very suited to build around it. Like it was a lot of terraforming to do, so I thought like, well, let's make a beautiful park out of that symmetry. Like let's actually increase the size of the symmetry and make it look like this. Like there is such a big difference into height from the top to the bottom, so let's make a slow curve around. Here we are also adding some density here, and it's going to be more more industrial and commercial, just to make sure that the noises are not going to be like a buffer, you know, between the train and the actual city where the people live. So unfortunately my commercial demand is not there yet, but I'm still gonna plop around here. So what you see me is doing here is adding quite a lot of single housing, but that's not something that's gonna stay there. This is just temporary, so I can grow my population. Like I am likely gonna change all of these single houses over there for something much more dense later, but that's gonna be in the future. Right now I want to see again what can we do. And boy oh boy, I do like this all new assets and how much diversity we have now. So remember that roundabout that I was complaining about earlier? Well, it really doesn't fit here anymore, and I'm trying to see what can I get. And I'm gonna build my own costume intersection. And it's not gonna be, I'm not sure about the name of it. It's gonna be like an extended roundabout. It's not gonna be round, but it's gonna be the same thing as a roundabout. It's gonna be a curved one-way road that goes into a kind of circle oval kind of way, and we're gonna connect it on both sides of this road. This main road is gonna go all the way there, and then we're gonna make all of the different connections and make sure that the road goes the right way, and we're gonna have smooth curves so the traffic can go as fast as possible. And since I'm getting some traffic issue here, we're gonna do some lane mathematics, which I'm not a big fan on right now, because technically it doesn't really make too much sense, but traffic being a bit stupid, that's how we're gonna deal with it. So what am I doing? Why did I do all of this? Why am I constructing all of this road? So I want to create more area where I can grow some low density housing, and this is, I think, some space right now, some logical space where we're gonna expand. So again, I'm trying to do some mix between all of the different kind of style of houses that I have, just to have different neighborhood type, but also to compare the different design, because I'm still discovering some of these assets. Like a lot of them are still new, and I'm kind of having a fight right now with them, and it's interesting. It's interesting to see what assets do we have. No, now I figured out, so why do I have not enough train? It says I don't have enough vehicles here. Why not? I don't understand. Well, so what I'm doing here is I'm making sure that all of the different train tracks are well connected. I was thinking maybe that I have an issue in my connection, but no, actually I did not connect this by the water. and electricity, and that's actually why. And now I can have the full capacity of my train track. So depot. So remember, always make sure that all of the different buildings are actually fully connected and have all of the stuff that they need to, because if you don't have all of this, and that's actually very realistic, that's what I like about it, they're not going to function to their best. So here again, I'm trying to find a smart way to add some low redundancy area in between the highway and the other road. I'm just adding a bit of networks, but that's pretty much about it for today's episode. We're just building the bones of what's going to be a beautiful city in the future. So let's take a look at everything that we build. This game has so much potential and it keeps giving and giving. I can't wait to see you next week. Bye bye.